Joao Neves, is at the center of a storm that just won't go away after his comments about Cristiano Ronaldo sparked outrage among fans. Some are now arguing that leaving the Portugal squad may be the only way to put an end to the drama and restore harmony within the team. And according to reports, that may be exactly what he's preparing to do. Let's get into it. On June 17th, Joao Neves scored and earned the Player of the Match award on his World Cup debut in a 1-1 draw against DR Congo. He headed in within 6 minutes. Portugal were flying. The stadium was roaring. For a few minutes, it looked like the tournament was about to start exactly the way everyone expected it to, with Portugal in control and the world's most famous number 7 finally getting one more shot at the trophy. Then the second half happened and Ronaldo happened, or rather he didn't. Ronaldo joined Lionel Messi as the only players to appear in 6 World Cups, and he had a real chance to go further to become the first player ever to score in 6 different tournaments. He missed shots wide right in the 68th and 73rd minute and shook his head in disgust after both. The crowd at NRG Stadium felt it. The broadcast cameras caught it. Ronaldo played all 90 minutes despite generating just 3 shot attempts and putting none on goal. His longtime rival the night before had bagged a hat-trick. Lionel Messi had just netted a stunning hat-trick in Argentina's 3-0 win over Algeria the night before. So naturally, a reporter put Ronaldo's performance to the man of the match right there in the post-match corridor. Microphone, cameras, the world watching. Reporters asked Neves about the performance of 41-year-old captain Cristiano Ronaldo, who had failed to make a major impact on the pitch. Neves answered, and here's the thing, what he said wasn't angry. It wasn't a dig. It wasn't delivered with a smirk. He told reporters, "We know what Cristiano has done for us, for our national team, and for the world of football. But at this moment, we know that he is no different. He is just another player here to help. He is no different from the others. He is here to contribute, just like all of us." That was it. That was the statement. 21 years old, first World Cup, man of the match. And he's saying his captain is part of the team like everyone else. Most people in a dressing room context would hear that and nod. Football people, coaches, analysts, most of them understood it immediately as a defense of Ronaldo's team-first mentality. The comments were quite plainly a defense of Ronaldo and a tribute to his attitude as the leader of a squad packed with players who haven't achieved anything to match him. But the internet doesn't live in dressing rooms. A section of Ronaldo's supporters interpreted the remark negatively, triggering a wave of backlash across social media within hours. It had music, escalated from a few angry comments to a full-on digital mob scene as soon as his comments went viral. Ronaldo fans flooded the comment section of Neves' Instagram with negative reactions, and it didn't stop there. Thousands of angry CR7 fans left angry messages on Neves' Instagram account, while some even hounded his girlfriend. His girlfriend, Madalena Aragao, an actress who had nothing to do with any of this. She wasn't in the press conference. She didn't say a word about Ronaldo. She just had the misfortune of being in a relationship with the guy who gave the wrong answer to the wrong room. The fallout proved so toxic that Madalena Aragao was forced to restrict her Instagram account following targeted abuse. This is where the story starts. Not with malice, not with a beef, just a 21-year-old midfielder fresh off the best performance of his international career, watching his phone and his girlfriend's phone get consumed by one of the most passionate fan bases in sport. Music. This shows the risk of the civil war we could have inside the national team, said Vitor Pinto, deputy editor of Portuguese publication Record. And that word, music, civil war, is the one that's now following Portugal around at this World Cup. Here's the thing about Neves getting asked about Ronaldo in the first place. It wasn't a random question. There was a reason reporters went there. And to understand the full weight of that post-match corridor moment, you have to understand who Neves is, where he came from, and why he's already carrying a kind of quiet authority, music, that makes people want to test him. João Pedro Goncalves Neves was born on September 27, 2004, and plays as a midfielder for Ligue 1 club Paris Saint-Germain and the Portugal national team. He's 21 years old. At 21, Cristiano Ronaldo was still breaking into Manchester United's starting lineup. Context matters. Coming through Benfica's youth system, Neves impressed during his time with the reserve side, winning the UEFA Youth League in 2021-22. Music, an instrumental part of Benfica's first European trophy in 60 years. He was subsequently promoted to the first team, making his professional debut at 18, where he helped Benfica win the league title in his first season. That kind of trajectory is rare. Rare enough that the biggest clubs in Europe were watching. In August 2024, Neves joined Paris Saint-Germain for a transfer fee of €60 million, becoming a prominent player as the club, Music, won their first UEFA Champions League titles back-to-back in 2025 and 2026, two consecutive Champions League titles. At 21, he also became the youngest Portuguese player to Music reach 30 Champions League appearances, breaking Cristiano Ronaldo's record. Not replacing Ronaldo's legacy, just quietly surpassing one of his milestones at a younger age. At the World Cup, he became the third youngest goal scorer in Portugal's World Cup history after Cristiano Ronaldo and Gonçalo Ramos. So, even in the moment that created all this drama, the Music moment he scored, the moment he got man of the match, the moment he gave that answer, he was etching himself into Portugal history. He'd earned the right to speak, but here's what the context also tells you. This wasn't the first time Neves had made waves in relation to Ronaldo. Months before the World Cup, in a pre-tournament interview, Neves left Ronaldo out of his picks for the best player in the Saudi Pro League and for Portugal. Music, overlooking his captain and instead highlighting compatriot Joao Music, Felix of Al Nassr as the Saudi League's current standout. When pressed to choose Portugal's best player, he backed himself and then picked PSG teammate Lionel Messi, Ronaldo's longtime rival, as the leading player in the American League. So, before the World Cup even kicked off, there was a trail, not an aggressive one. Music, not a vendetta, but a pattern of answers from a 21-year-old who apparently doesn't feel the need to perform reverence for Ronaldo the way others in that camp do. Ronaldo is an important voice on the national team, Music, and there's no doubt Neves' earlier interview reached him. For Neves, the confidence to say he is the best on a very talented Portugal team shows his belief in his own ability. Music, that confidence, that absolute unblinking confidence, is exactly why reporters circled back to him after the DR Congo draw. They knew he'd answer straight. They knew he wouldn't say the safe thing, and Music, he didn't. Portugal were limited to just 6 shot attempts after Neves' goal, and even as key creative players such as Bernardo Silva, Pedro Neto, Nuno Mendes, and Music, Vitinha were withdrawn by coach Roberto Martinez. One notable star who remained on the pitch the full 90 minutes was 41-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo. The contrast was right there on the pitch. The young midfielder who scored and was then subbed off versus the captain who didn't score and wasn't touched. That's the dynamic reporters, Music, wanted Neves to comment on, and he did. Music, and he did, and that comment is now the most discussed thing to come out of Portugal's Music entire World Cup campaign so far. A massive social media storm hit the Portugal national team camp at the FIFA World Cup, Music, 2026 with midfielder Joao Neves and his girlfriend, actress Madalena Aragao, becoming the targets of severe online harassment, Music, from angry Cristiano Ronaldo fans. That word massive doesn't quite carry the weight of what actually went down. This wasn't a few hundred annoyed fans firing off tweets. Two people had the power to diffuse this, Roberto Martinez and Cristiano Ronaldo himself. Martinez went first. In Music, response to a reporter's question about Neves' remarks, he commented, "I think that statement can be easily misunderstood. Cristiano Ronaldo's status in this team cannot be diminished. We are talking about one of the greatest footballers in history. He has achieved everything. He has scored more goals for Portugal than any other player, broken countless records, and continues to fight for this country." Note the sequence there. The coach's first instinct was to reinforce Ronaldo's status, not to defend Neves, not to simply say he didn't mean it. That way, the first move was to publicly re-elevate Ronaldo. That tells you Music, everything about the power dynamics inside that camp. Then he added context. Martinez, Music, continued. When people hear comments like these, it might lead them to question the player's mindset, his understanding of the locker room atmosphere, and even his values. However, I also understand what Joao was trying to say. I don't believe he intended any insult. What he was trying to express is that Portugal's goal is bigger than any individual. And then, almost immediately, he walked that balance right back. Music, nevertheless, This should never reduce Cristiano Ronaldo's stature within the national team. His impact, leadership, experience, and commitment are irreplaceable. Cristiano Ronaldo is not just an ordinary player. He is a symbol of Portugal and of football. You read that and you hear a coach who's managing a political situation as much as a football one. He knows what Neves meant. He said so. But he also knows that if Ronaldo feels publicly undermined at his sixth World Cup at 41, in what is almost certainly his last, the camp fractures. And a fractured camp at a World Cup is the kind of thing that haunts coaches for decades. Then Ronaldo moved. The Portuguese icon shared a photo on social media featuring several teammates, including Joao Neves, alongside a simple but meaningful message: always united. The post was widely interpreted as a clear show of support for the PSG midfielder and an attempt to ease tensions within the Portuguese camp. So, Ronaldo, the man his own fan base was fighting for, was essentially asking them to stop. He put Neves in the photo. He called for unity. He drew a line under it publicly. And yet the mob didn't fully listen because it was never really about what Ronaldo wanted. It was about what his most extreme supporters believe he deserves. And those two things are not always the same. There is a reaction to any criticism directed at Cristiano Ronaldo. And that is where much of the polarization comes from, said Vitor Pinto of Record. That polarization, that hair-trigger response to even the mildest suggestion that Ronaldo is mortal, is the real engine behind everything that happened to Neves. The game played fine. The teammates were teammates. The controversy was manufactured in the gap between what Ronaldo's fans want to hear and what actually gets said. But here's the football problem buried under all the noise. Ronaldo's frustrating display against Congo DR isn't the first he has had in recent years as Portugal's main center forward. The question is whether his past performance at this level means he should automatically start all summer long. The most capped player in international men's football has nothing to prove at his sixth World Cup in 21 years. But analysts noted that his diminished mobility and Portugal's over-reliance on his influence do not make for productive bedfellows. Even two of Ronaldo's three-shot attempts were indicative of a larger problem. He couldn't find any physical advantages against the Congolese defenders, meaning he had to drift wide of the goal to find space. Even when Francisco Conceição made dangerous runs to the sideline and music created chances for him, the shot started and stayed wide. The stats don't care about legacy, and Neves, whether he intended it or not, was pointing directly at those stats when he said what he said. Portugal are considered one of the favorites to win the 2026 World Cup. That sentence hasn't changed. The squad is loaded. Neves, Fernandes, Music, Bernardo Silva, Rafael Leao, Vitinha, Pedro Neto. These aren't passengers. They're players capable of winning tournaments. Portugal are next in action facing Uzbekistan on Tuesday. Music, June 23rd. They need a result. They need to be focused. And they're doing all of music. This with a dressing room that the outside world is treating like a battleground. Music, think about what Neves is carrying into that next game. For several days, the PSG star has faced relentless criticism. The man who was the best player on the pitch against DR Congo, who scored, who pressed, who covered ground like someone who'd been waiting his whole life for this stage, is now walking into music, training sessions, and press conferences under a cloud that has nothing to do with his football. And think about what the rest of the squad is navigating. Even Bruno Fernandes came under fire after attempting to calm the situation. So, the message being sent to Portugal's players is clear. If you say anything that isn't music, direct, unambiguous praise for Cristiano Ronaldo, you will be punished for it. You, your teammates, your partners. The mob doesn't draw a line at the footballer. This shows the risk of the civil war we could have inside the national team. Vitor Pinto had warned. Music, that word keeps coming back, civil war. And the reason it keeps coming back is because that's the precise shape of what's happening. Not the players fighting each other. Not Neves versus Ronaldo, but a fan base that has decided. Music, some players are on Ronaldo's side, and some aren't. And that those who aren't deserve everything they get. What gets lost in all of this is the actual football context. It was the sixth time the Al Nassr striker finished without a shot on target at a World Cup. As Martinez searched for answers, substituting Ronaldo evidently wasn't one of his options. It makes no sense to get the best goal scorer in world football out in a game that you need goals, he said. The coach is loyal. The players are united. Ronaldo himself posted unity. But the environment outside the camp has made it nearly impossible for anyone inside it to speak with any honesty about what's happening on the pitch, because honesty about the pitch leads to what music happened to Neves. And what happened to Neves is the kind of thing that makes players go quiet. That makes press conferences robotic. That turns post-match interviews into exercises in saying nothing. That's the cost, not just to Joao Neves personally, but to the team's ability to function in public. Music, to process a bad performance, to acknowledge when something's not working and fix it. Despite plenty music of questions about it after the match, Martinez mostly deflected anything related to Ronaldo and his role. The coach is already managing the narrative. The players have seen what happens when you don't. And so we arrive at the conversation that people are now having loudly, persistently about whether Neves should remove himself from this situation entirely. Not because he's wrong, not because he disrespected anyone, but because the noise around him is now pulling focus away from a tournament that Portugal genuinely has a chance to win. On social media, several Portuguese players have been subjected to serious abuse, with fans demanding respect for Ronaldo. And as long as Neves is the face of that story, as long as his name is the one attached to this controversy, that pressure doesn't go anywhere. It just builds. He scored the first goal of his country's World Cup. He won Man of the Match. Ironically, Neves had been one of Portugal's standout performers against DR Congo, even scoring his team's only goal. And right now, none of that is what people are talking about. The argument being made by the louder corners of the internet is that if Neves stepped back from the Portugal camp, the noise might settle. The team might breathe. Ronaldo might get the reverence his fans feel he deserves without a 21-year-old in the middle of the conversation. And Portugal, a squad good enough to win this whole tournament, might finally get to just play football. Whether Neves should have to carry that burden is a different question entirely. He said his captain was a music team player. He said the team's goal was collective. He got Man of the Match saying it. And then the internet, music, decided he'd committed a crime in Portugal. Anything involving Cristiano Ronaldo continues to generate passionate reactions that often extend far beyond what happens on the pitch. That's the system Neves walked into. He didn't build it. He doesn't control it. But right now, right in the middle of a World Cup, he's the one standing at the center of it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content. Joao Neves causes stir with Cristiano Ronaldo comments after Portugal 1-1 DR Congo. PSG, Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo breaks silence on Joao Neves controversy. Music, Joao Neves social media hijacked with thousands of comments after Cristiano Ronaldo claim. Portugal coach defends Ronaldo after Neves comments. Joao Neves makes bold Cristiano Ronaldo claim after Portugal's draw versus DR Congo. Joao Neves defends girlfriend Madalena Aragao after Cristiano Ronaldo fans target her. Why music? Is Joao Neves facing criticism? Joao Neves hit by online abuse after comments on Ronaldo following Portugal 1-1 Congo. Cristiano Ronaldo calls for unity following Joao Neves controversy. Joao Neves omits Ronaldo from Saudi Pro League and Portugal best lists. Joao Neves Wikipedia. Why Cristiano Ronaldo could spark a civil war in the dressing room at the 2026 World Cup. Portugal 1-1, Congo drive ESPN game report. Portugal have a Ronaldo problem again after Congo DR draw. ESPN. Portugal boss Martinez. No sense taking out misfiring Ronaldo. ESPN. Ronaldo Portugal draw with Congo. Final match stats. Music. Highlights. Bleacher Report. Joao Neves' girlfriend Madalena Aragao faces online abuse from Ronaldo fans. IB Times UK. https://www.ibtimes.co.uk/Joao-Neves-Ronaldo-tongues-world-cup-803,870.